You are listening to the Cresco Wealthcast, a podcast brought to you by Cresco Wealth Management of Wellington Altus Private Wealth. I'm your host, Dimitri, Korolis, and I wanted to bring a podcast in the world of wealth that was easy to follow, down to earth, just some quick hit coffee talk conversations that you can take with you in your everyday lives as well. I'll be bringing on members of the team. I'll be bringing in periodically guests externally from time to time. And heck, I'll even share my thoughts for the day. In any event, you can follow the podcast at cresco.podbean.com as well as Spotify. And last but not least, please don't forget to subscribe and follow us on our Instagram channels. It's my channel at The Finance Greek and the team's channel at Cresco Wealth Management. Well, welcome back to the Cresco Wealthcast. Hope everyone enjoyed the summer. It feels like it's been a summer holidays here too. Don't forget, you can listen not only on Podbean, but on Spotify as well. So cresco.podbean.com as well as the Cresco Wealthcast on Spotify. I'm here with Peter Kollias. First time, long time?
First time, long time.
First time caller, long time listener?
You bet, man. It's been a great summer. We had a bit of a break there. Went back to Greece, had a wonderful time, and here we are back in Calgary.
It's unbelievable.
Leaves are turning, colors are turning. It's beautiful out there.
Summer's done. It's crazy.
It's done.
You know, for some of us are going on vacation.
Right.
You know, now it's not over. We're looking at you. Yeah. Vicky's joining us, but not joining us. We have Vicky, who's the marketing lead, who puts this all together for the Cresco Wealthcast, and we're getting some video clips. We got to be on our best behavior.
We do. Vicky makes us run, so she's here with us today.
There we go. Yes. So, what are we talking about today, Pete? What's on the agenda? What are you hearing? What are you thinking?
You know, we had the fortune today. I'll just jump into it.
Yeah.
Which I typically do. Right. We had the fortune today of having the founder, and he doesn't like to call himself the CEO, but I guess the chief of Wellington Altus join us. Sean Hauser came by this morning, and it was great to have him in the office and to reinforce all the great reasons as to why we're at Wellington and why we're here. And we had a podcast earlier in I think it was at the beginning of summer where we're talking a little bit about this and going back. And so he just reminded me of a few things that I just wanted to reinforce today. And it just, you know, simply, what should people be looking for when it comes to a wealth advisor or wealth management team, you know? And I thought, hey, what a great conversation to have, being advisors and talking to that. You get all these articles that come out there, but has anyone ever actually heard from a wealth management team to talk about what you should be looking for?
Agreed.
And so I thought, you know, let's take an opportunity here and touch on a couple of those components and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I want to point another thing out for all of you that are listening and conversation for ourselves is it's so nice the capacity in which Sean came to the office to speak to our team. And he's not done. He's speaking to all the teams. He's almost doing a roadshow, if you will. And just the way he talks. You know, let's just cut to the chase. There's the political PR. This is what head office is supposed to come and say. But it truly felt that man was one of our friends, one of our partners, all talking about the business. And it was very refreshing.
Yeah, it was very refreshing. He was vulnerable. He didn't give you answers that were hidden. It was just straight and to the point. And it was great to have him here. It was absolutely
so
fantastic.
Great question, Pete. What should people look for when they're choosing an advisor, an advisory team, practice, a firm, all of these variables? Because let's face it, this is just something that does not get shopped around. And I don't blame anyone.
Right.
We go through the same gamut. We're young. We have a bank account. We start earning some more money. We feel we want to get responsible. So if I'm at a bank, naturally, I just want to be with the resources at the bank, and I learn about my first accountant, and I do all this stuff.
The path of least resistance.
The path of
you're
least
at the
resistance.
bank, you're going to work at the bank. Or all of a sudden you start making good money, you start seeing accumulation of wealth, the wealth becomes more complex. Well, what do you do? Again, the path of least resistance. Do you have the time, the ability to think, what should I be looking for? What are the questions? And, you know, I would start with one thing to consider is independence, right? Mm-hmm. You know, is there independent thinking that's taking place both with the advisor but also with the firm that they're aligned to? is there going to be conflict of interest if there is no independence, right? And so what I mean by that is, are you working with a team or working within an organization whereby they are selling you something that is tied to the products and platforms designed by that institution, and you have to sell that? Or are you working with someone who has independent thought, or a firm that pushes independence, whereby you and I can go out and we can go and talk to the best of the best, whatever it may be, from money management to financial planning to accounting to lawyers. You
That's
have
right.
this ability to go find the best of the best, and you have this independent thought, and instead of being skewed and being forced down kind of this this peg, if you may. So I would suggest looking for an independent outfit is something that really needs to be considered, particularly within the Canadian landscape. Look down to the U.S. There is many opportunities within the independent landscape. Up in Canada, we've kind of gone down this path as well. We've been at the banks, we'll stay with the banks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's time for people to open up and say, hey, is there other opportunities out there?
Of course.
Or am I working within a bank that's being independent in their thoughts?
Well, challenge it. And no one challenges it. And so, of course, we'll never reference by name, but if we say Institution X gives you all of their offerings, yes, there has to be a certain confidence and bravado that they feel that they're the best. But let's face it, they're not. Not one person is operating and batting 1,000, as funny as Sean said earlier today. So get a second opinion, check it, see. And when you're independent, this allows us the opportunity to truly be objective in what our approach is going to be. I love not being tied, or let's say it, not having the pressure to be tied.
Right.
To
not have your sandbox continually shrink on you. Is it expanding instead, right? Yeah. And it's almost as if we've had this scripted. You made a point of a second of opinion. And if you are going through the process...
bread and butter, Pete.
It is. It's every single time you cease to amaze me, clearly. And so if we go and we say, okay, let's go for a second opinion. And you're going through the process of that second opinion. And when you're being delivered a second opinion, and that opinion is nothing about the investments and talking about what investments they're going to be in, I would put an asterisk and say, well, hold on a second. Is this advisor or advisory team actually being interested in knowing what my outcome is, what I want? What are my goals? Where do I want to go? What is this money or wealth that I'm creating serving to? And then how do we build something around that? If it's just, oh, here's your portfolio, here's a portfolio we can do, I'm sorry, they've missed the mark. It's beyond that. Wealth is beyond just investments. It's everything.
And you would challenge whether or not they have the capacity to do it, the knowledge to do it, the wherewithal, and what are they really providing? What are they really providing for said prospective client? So you're right, I would put an asterisk, as you say, on that. One of the questions with prospective clients and clients as well is I continually ask this. I want you to tell me what is important to you. Like, what's important to you? Who are you? Because everyone is different. And it's important to ask and have someone say, you know what? I do want, for us, let's say, I do want that house and boat in Greece. And I like to, being of Greek background, I think that's every Greek's dream. But to say, okay, well, if that's important to you, then I'm not going to manipulate you otherwise.
Correct. Yeah, it's asking the questions, getting to know who that person is, and then putting down a written financial plan, creating those projections, putting a written financial plan, which then comes down to say, okay, is there a process in place? Is there a defined process in place? Is there something that's repeatable that's happening over and over again with that process? And if there's no process in place, then you're saying, okay, really what's happening here is just a bunch of investment ideas or investment thoughts or financial planning ideas versus is there actual wealth planning that is taking a look at every aspect of your life? And so I would say it's very important to look for an investment process or, a wealth management process for that matter. And, the third thing, again, that you touched on there is every person is different. Right? Everyone has these different thoughts. Everyone has these different ideas as what they want to do with their wealth. Everyone has these different values. We hear it time and time again. I always come back to the estate planning side because it's just wonderful to listen. You hear some people saying, I don't want to leave a single dime to my children. I want them to find their own way and understand the value of money. And then there's other individuals say, I want to leave as much money as possible for my children to give leg up. There's no right or wrong answer to that.
No.
But what you need to do is think independently, say, okay, well, how do we filter that? How do we help them? And then how do we go and create a customized plan? So if you're just getting a check box, let's go through, answer these questions. You belong here in the box. Again, ask some questions. Is this being customized? Is this person getting to know who I am? Are we tailoring the advice to this person, their goals and their objectives? I think that's extremely important as well.
You know, one thing that I like to point out on that note, Pete, and thank you, very well said, is we're talking about a lot of ideas here: portfolio management, wealth planning, financial planning, estate, all these different avenues in which we approach wealth management. Well, that can't be done by one person. And I say that's another thing that people really need to look and say, what are the promised deliverables? How complex is this presentation or solution that someone is offering? And what's the capacity that they're able to do it? And one of the biggest things that I pride our team on is we're 19 and growing. And I say you have 19 eyes at any given time looking at something. And what I like about the relationships that we each have is everyone knows that and understands that, and you check your ego at the door.
Yep.
You know,
and that's exactly I think we should be switching roles here, and we should be answering these questions. And
no, you're doing a great job. I just look smart when I come in after.
No, I mean, and again, just taking it to the next level, and what else you should be looking for is what are the capacities, right? What you're looking for is a team that you can trust. And so when you're looking for that team that you trust, is okay, what's the character of that team? What's the integrity of that team? And then with that as well is what is their ability to deliver? Can they deliver on the results and also the performance that they've promised you from the onset? And what we've found being in this industry here for over 20 plus years is that it's all about having the team and the right people on that team.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's what's the experience of that team? This is your hard money that's been earned over a course of time. And if you're going to be working with someone who's going to be stewards of that wealth and helping you with that structure, what's the capacity of that team? What's the capabilities of that team? Really get into the depths and understanding of what that may be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so ties into what you said there before, is the capacity and capabilities.
Pete, we get all different types of revelations when we're talking to prospective and subsequent clients. And it goes from, my person only contacts me once a year. It's usually during RSP season when they're asking for more money. I don't hear from anyone at all. I have to pay extra for this. And it just, there's all of these things that are going on. And what I've come to understand is yes, it's in our play to say, yeah, you should have a second opinion. Of course, we want to promote our business and Cresco Wealth Management and Wellington Altus. But people don't know what they don't know. And that's the biggest thing that I learned in this industry is you build a relationship. So you like the person and you never question it because you have a good, respectful relationship. But people don't know what they're not getting. They have no idea what they're actually not getting and what they're paying for. And that's the biggest thing. So even if you were not thinking of switching, you really like your person and everything, I would still get a second opinion. Understand the industry, because we do a very poor job of setting what the standard is, but what the standard should be. How can you take someone from point A to point B through years of service? Let's call it. We have years of commitment to our clients. And I'm going to ring you once a year?
Right.
How can that work?
Yeah. There has to be constant communication between all of this. And, so once again, what you're looking for is there independence? Is there independent thought? Is there ability to go get the best of independent thought? Is there a team that's experienced behind you to help with capacity? Is there a written plan? Is there a process in place for all aspects that's just beyond investing? Wealth is beyond investing. Are they trying to avoid the pitfalls, trying to be opportunistic? Are they understanding who you are and then creating customization to that? And so it's important that the people ask these questions. I think this has been a good conversation that we've had here, and really saying, what are we looking for? You and I, we know what to look for. This is what we do day in and day out, and we just want to make sure we can go and help people all as they continue to start building, or if they've accumulated and have this wealth, or they've got some more complexity, they've sold a business and now they don't know what to do when they sold this business, it comes all this wealth. There's a lot of variables out there, and at the end of the day, people want to do what they do, what's important to them, and in order for them to do that, this what they considered weight, what we considered as power to us, we want to be able to help them with that and let us be stewards of that so they can go forward and do what they do best. And that understanding needs to be there as well.
Love it. Perfectly said, Pete. Why don't we leave it at that?
I think so.
I think this was a good coffee talk conversation. Again, thank you for all of you that have subscribed and listened to the Cresco Wealthcast. We truly appreciate it. Again, share the podcast with a friend or someone that you feel could get value out of it. Again, we are on www.cresco.podbean.com. You can find the Cresco Wealthcast on Spotify. Follow us on LinkedIn and all of our social medias at Cresco Wealth Management. And of course, at The Finance Greek. I have to plug it. That one was for you, Vicky. Thank you very much.